There are lives that unfold in the ordinary rhythm of days, and there are lives that seem carved directly from the mountains. Kilian Jornet's life has always belonged to the second kind, long before his name echoed across the endurance world. Before records fell and legends formed, he was just a boy in the Pyrenees, a child who believed that home was not a house, but the wind, the rock, and the line of the horizon. At 5 years old, while most children were learning to ride a bicycle, Kilian was standing on the summit of the Aneto 3,404 meters above sea level. His classroom was the Alpine Ridge. His teachers were his parents, both mountain guides, who showed him that nature wasn't a playground to be conquered, but a mirror to the soul. The thin air became his first language. That early intimacy with altitude would define everything that came next. By 20, Kilian had already done what most dreamers never dare to attempt. He had won the Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc, conquered Zegama Aizkori, Sierra Zinal, Transvolcania, Hard Rock, names that resonate like sacred verses among endurance runners. But even then, competition wasn't what drove him. He was chasing something else. Not trophies, but truth. The kind that only appears when you are alone, exhausted, and halfway between the sky and yourself. In 2010, he gave that search a name: Kilian's Quest. It wasn't a campaign for medals or cameras. It was an intimate pact with endurance, a promise to keep exploring the edge of possibility. He ran the length of Corsica's GR20 in 32 hours and 54 minutes, slicing through mist and stone faster than anyone before. He crossed California's Tahoe Rim Trail in just over 38 hours, breaking the previous mark by more than 7. Then came the Pyrenees, 830 kilometers of ridgelines from sea to sea, a journey back through his own origins. After that, Kilimanjaro, up and down the tallest mountain in Africa in just 7 hours and 14 minutes. A human metronome calibrated to the rhythm of ascent. Each new challenge was less about proving strength and more about discovering fragility. What happens when the body begins to fail but the mind refuses to listen? What happens when the world shrinks to nothing but your breath, your heartbeat, and the sound of your shoes scraping rock? Those questions shaped the man he became. 2 years later, in 2012, another project emerged. One that would elevate him from athlete to mythmaker. Summits of My Life. Its mission was simple and pure: to move across the world's most iconic peaks as fast and as light as possible, using nothing but human power. Minimalism became philosophy. Rope, pack, and heartbeat. Nothing more. He traced the Innominata Ridge on Mont Blanc with a precision that bordered on poetry. Then in 2013, he redefined speed mountaineering entirely, ascending and descending Mont Blanc in 4 hours and 57 minutes. And the Matterhorn in 2 hours and 52. Denali, Aconcagua, records that fuse the art of running with the craft of alpinism. No noise, no crowd. Just wind, ice, and will. But no mountain captures the imagination like Everest. In 2017, Kilian traveled to the Himalayas for a challenge that stripped away every comfort. No oxygen, no fixed ropes, no expedition tents, only a small backpack, a watch, and the knowledge that every step might be his last. He climbed the highest point on Earth twice in a single week, a feat that belongs as much to the realm of philosophy as to sport. When he reached the summit, he didn't raise his arms or shout. He simply looked around at the endless void of sky. For him, victory had never been about noise. It was about silence, the kind that humbles you, that reminds you of your size in the universe. By then, Kilian Jornet had become something more than a name in the record books. He was a symbol of restraint, of self-discipline, of a different kind of excellence. He believed that greatness doesn't require spectacle, only authenticity. In the years that followed, his adventures became deeper, longer, and more philosophical. In 2023, he returned to the Pyrenees to his own beginnings. For 8 days, he traversed 485 kilometers, climbing 177 summits above 3,000 meters, amassing 43,000 meters of elevation. It was less a challenge than a homecoming. A dialogue between the man and the child he once was. The boy who had looked at those same peaks and wondered what lay beyond them. The following year, he turned his gaze toward the Alps. The project was called Alpine Connections. 19 days, 82 summits above 4,000 meters, linking them entirely under his own power. Running between peaks, cycling between ranges, over 1,200 kilometers, 75,000 meters of vertical ascent. No engines, no shortcuts, just the pure continuity of movement. The belief that one can travel across an entire mountain world without leaving a trace of anything but footprints and breath. And then in 2025 came his latest odyssey, States of Elevation. 72 summits over 14,000 feet scattered across the American West. Colorado, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, California, Oregon, Washington. He crossed them all by foot and bicycle, covering over 5,000 kilometers in 31 days. Every morning began the same. The quiet click of pedals, the first rays of light on desert stone, the lungs burning their way into a new altitude. He rode like a pilgrim between sanctuaries of rock, transforming geography into meditation. Each climb, each descent was another question asked of himself. How far can a human being go when curiosity is stronger than fatigue? To most, it seemed superhuman. To him, it was natural. Because the real challenge was never the mileage or the gradient. It was remaining faithful to his own principles. Simplicity, respect, self-reliance. He has always said that when we remove the noise of the modern world, what's left is the raw dialogue between body and earth. 15 years, thousands of kilometers, countless summits. But perhaps the most remarkable thing about Kilian Jornet is that he has never stopped seeing the mountain through a child's eyes. He still speaks of joy, of discovery, of play. He still seeks solitude not to escape the world, but to understand it. His endurance is not rebellion against limitation. It's a form of conversation with it. Watch him move, and you can almost see the idea that motion itself is meaning. That endurance is not about surviving pain, but transforming it into presence. In a time obsessed with records and recognition, Kilian reminds us of something ancient. That the summit is only half the story. The real ascent happens inside, in the quiet, invisible terrain of the mind. As he stands at the top of yet another peak, the sun rising over an ocean of clouds, it's clear that the numbers no longer matter. The stopwatch, the statistics, the articles, they fade. What remains is something elemental. A man in the mountains, breathing with the rhythm of the earth. Kilian Jornet's story is not about how far he can go. It's about what it means to keep going, even when there is nothing left to prove. Because in the end, endurance is not a measure of distance. It's a measure of devotion.